Hey, if you're a realtor having a lead quality problem, in this video, I'm going to explain 5 things we did for our agents, not only to help them fix this, but at the same time, go all the way to the point where they actually meet these guys face to face. Take a piece of paper, take some notes, let's get to it. The very first thing that I'm going to cover today is going to be using video. This is a thing I really always emphasize on this channel and in general. When we started using video for our clients, the biggest thing I noticed or noticing is that when they call these guys on the phone and they ask, hey, like, what was it you? Like, we just got a home valuation for this address from you. They actually tell them, yeah, that was me. Like, we did good tone and they're kind of ready to talk, right? And so it's a lot easier now for them. Again, as long as you have a good speed to lead, and this is a point I'm going to cover later, but it's a lot easier for them now at this point to actually get in the door. Once you can get in the door, again, like I said earlier, I guess you know this, it's a lot easier to go in person and do everything, right? So basically, what I mean by video, I made a YouTube video about this, like 50 minutes. So it's basically impossible for me to cover everything about video. Just go back to that video if you're curious on the 3 ways you use video for our clients, for our realtors, and in general real estate. But basically, the key principle, right, is that if they know your voice before you call them in the first place, it's a lot easier to actually, start a conversation. Why? Because at that point, they don't think you're a telemarketer. They actually think you're a realtor, you're John from Keller Williams. Hey, I watched your video. And, I never saw somebody, doing like something like that. So I'm actually curious to know what's going on. And I did request that home valuation. And that's a later point, taking more time to do stuff. But basically, if they know your voice, their brain doesn't go into fight or flight. I guess you know this, what fight or flight means. But basically, our brain is like two ways of... Basically, our brain is either like relaxed or fight or flight. And so typically your reaction when you're meeting with a telemarketer is like fight or flight, like get off the phone now, fast. This guy wants to, sell me something, like get out fast. And so that's what these guys are probably thinking when you call them off of a random like Facebook form they took 20 seconds to complete. And especially you did a bid and switch and you told them, hey, yeah, I'll text you evaluation. If you did a bid and switch, guys, I'm not like, it's tough to actually get deals in the door because you lose their trust once you call them and basically you tell them, hey, I'll text you evaluation, and now you're calling them on the phone, right? So I'll recommend being upfront with this. So now the second thing, right, is actually the script. So I learned this from Telly, right? My client, you can watch this case study on our website, met 5 seller in person just a month, and at this point I'm recording this, he already like signed 1, next week probably sign the 2nd, and so his biggest point is that when you talk with these guys, if your script is like, hey, okay, when do you want to sell? Like you're gonna lose them. So what we did, we worked really hard on our script, and maybe in the future I might release our script. Right now we're still working on it to make it perfect, and honestly I also want to make sure it's perfect before I post a YouTube video talking about it, and make sure is that like good track record before posting it. But as of right now, we found a combination that really works for ourselves, and the combination is asking about their motivation. So what I mean by that is that when you ask about their motivation, what happens is that you actually understand, even if they say, oh no, I'm not interested anymore. Okay, like, just curious, like what prompted you to request this home valuation, to fill this out? Once you can understand what prompted them to fill that out, it's a lot easier to have a conversation. Usually use it 2 ways, right? Number 1, we use it to handle the objection. Oh, I'm not interested. Oh, I want to cancel this. I don't want to waste your time. I'm far. Because when they say they are far, I learned this from Barry Jenkins. He is the author of Too Nice for Sales. Make sure to check him out. Read that book. Amazing book. But basically, when they tell you they're far, It's not necessarily true. This guy, and this changed my belief around this, so I hope to change yours. This guy is closing 800 to 900 transactions a year with leads who tell him like, hey, no, I'm not ready now. So you understand that there are certain guys who are playing this game in a different way, and that's working for them specifically. And so what we try to do is apply that advice. And so by asking their motivation, we're able to say, okay, cool, and give them clarity, right? Like once you give them clarity, the problem they just want to sell in 12 months because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do really. Like they don't know what's gonna happen next. They don't know, you know, if they should sell now, if the market is good now, if the market is not good now. So they just need an advisor really. And so if you can step into that, it's all easier to all of a sudden like a time frame of like 9 months now is like 3 months or 2 months, right? That's the biggest thing. And you have to understand also like what I learned for our clients is that with these leads, it's rare to meet somebody's going to sell like tomorrow because they just clicked something online. It happens sometimes that they're going to sell the next month or this month. For example, like for Telly, he just signed someone, like called them, went to the home, signed. Cool. Honestly, that's very good. But that's not the common thing. The common thing is having to work hard to get to the door, right? But if you enter into that mindset, okay, I'm doing this because in 5 years, I'm going to have a crazy database who's going to have like, and I'm going to be able to buy listings because based off what I spent, I know what I can get predictably. Once you unlock that, once you unlock that power to buy listings, everything becomes easier, right? And so that's the biggest thing, guys. Focus on the motivation. So ask that question, like just curious, like what prompted you to fill this out? Try it out in your script. Work really well for us. Now the third point is, okay, so this is what questions do you ask? Now the third point is making sure it takes more time. So 4 minutes for us is like the golden time. So what I mean by that is that if they fill out a Facebook form and it takes like 20 seconds, most likely they're not going to remember you after 2 hours. That's the problem. So what we do is make sure, first things first, we ask questions like, hey, what's your relationship to the address? Okay, cool. When you're going to sell? Cool. Now you're getting information. And you see how this point is a lot easier, right? That if they took like 4 minutes to answer the questions, then they saw your video in the backend. If you follow the first point, you had a video. Go and watch my other video, like last video about how we use video to get listings. The second point is talking about backend video. So if you use a backend video, right, they're gonna know your voice, they're gonna see your video, you set the expectations. Now they took time, they're gonna remember you, right? And so if you act with speed, now you're in the door, basically, right? And so if it takes also more time, like you add more friction, it takes more time, right? I don't know why it's okay. If 4 minutes for us is the golden time, so 4 minutes and then maybe like 1 to 2 minutes for the video, if they take like 45 minutes, they remember, right? So when a realtor calls them, it's like, okay, cool, like ready to talk, and that's the goal. Again, like I said, the goal with these guys is not just to list the property tomorrow, but is to get your feet in, right? Go to the home. Once you're in person, they're going to remember about you. Once you meet them face to face, like you're not just an online thing anymore. You just met them in person. You're a real person, right? Being a real person really helps to get your foot in the door. And so your whole process should be around this. And that's what we did for ourselves. So we try to add as much friction as possible without, reducing the volume too much, right? To the point where it's too expensive, because if you go too far, there is a risk of like, hey, like I'm paying $150 for a lead. And at that point, aside from having a big budget, you cannot really afford to have $150 cost per lead if you're spending $900 a month, because otherwise you're gonna have a few leads. You maybe like one lead comes in at 3 a.m. You cannot call them. If you depend on like a really low volume, you're really vulnerable. You're really weak because you miss your let's say you miss a few leads. Now, like, you're just half of the month is gone, right? So you're really weak. And so you don't want to do that. So we want to add as much friction as we can while not reducing the lead volume, right? And so at the same time, what we do is, okay, like 4 minutes is really the golden time to make sure they don't quit too much. But the non-intentional people who want to sell in like years quit. And also at the same time, I recommend use if then statements. That's what we try for ourselves. If they, for example, they want to sell in more than 12 months and you're in a fast-paced market, okay, so let's say right now is October, right? If they don't want to sell next spring and you're in a fast-paced market right now where it's not a bad market at all, you don't want to really waste your time with these guys, because they tell you want to sell, like, probably they're going to sell in like 2 years if they don't want to sell this spring, right? And so yes, you want to drip on them, but I wouldn't, like, you want to have a way to filter them out, right? So if you use if then statements based off their answers, you're able to filter them out accordingly, okay? So now number 4 is what are we going to do every day, multiple times a day? It takes work, okay? Like I said earlier, what we did, that's my second video, I think, conversion mechanism. Go back to that. Again, like, I try to make my first videos in the channel like the base principles around everything, but basically what we're doing for our clients, we created like a document with a step-by-step plan. So, okay, what do you have to do 0 to 7 days? Okay, what do you have to do 8 to 16 days? What do you have to do 16 to 30 days? And what are you going to do 30 plus days? What are you going to do when they no-show? What are you going to do when you drop the CMA off? Like, it takes really, you have to have something in detail, because otherwise you're going to lose a lot of people. And especially, you got to make sure you have a way to remember about this all the time. Because honestly, real estate is all about following up. And I guess you know this, right? Sales, real estate is all about following up. And so what we try to do for ourselves, and I recommend you do this for yourself, go to my second video where I basically give the plan on what to do 0 to 7 days, 8 to 16 days, 16 to 30 days. And so over time, you keep the rhythm up. Wow, the 99% of realtors, and you know this for yourself, you see your friends, what they're doing. 99% of realtors are giving up after the second call, right? Because they're going to sell in a few months. So if you really want to win at this game, you actually, and again, I learned this from Barry Jenkins, right? I learned a lot from that book. But basically, in real estate, 99% of people trying lead gen is saying, oh, these leads are bad, these leads are terrible, and they're giving up. And the 10% is taking all the deals, right? And the reason why is probably due to like skills at the same time, so having a good script, being good on the phone. But the second time is beliefs. So what kind of beliefs you have around this that are limiting you from actually winning? So if you believe that if you get a lead who's gonna sell in 4 months, that's a waste of your time. Of course, you're not gonna take the actions to actually get there and list the home. But that doesn't mean that that lead is not gonna list. That lead is gonna list, simply is gonna list without you, right? And so make sure you go back to the video, you plan everything in detail, you know what to do for like next. So basically, if they don't answer, never answer, you actually verify the homeowner and they have the right number and their right email. You actually follow up with them till they say F off or till they say, no, I'm not interested anymore. Until then, you don't give up. Or that's what we do. Like, we never give up until they really say F off, or they actually say, no, I'll never want to sell for the next 10 years, right? And that's never happened. So I recommend you don't give up with your leads just because they're going to sell in a few months, right? And so the last thing we did, guys, this is such a gem, dropping CMAs and going the extra mile. So nobody's doing this. Dropping this gem for you guys. If you actually start to drop the CMAs, guys, that's crazy, because what you're doing right now is going the extra mile. A lot of realtors are gonna think, oh, this is such a waste of time, I don't want to do this. They're never gonna answer. One of my realtors, super competitive market, Durham region in Toronto, went to do this. 4 people met to, and one lady opened the door, and the lady told her, like, hey, like, nobody's doing this right now, thanks a lot. Boom, half an hour in the home. Like, do you see how powerful this is? And also, like, Telly, the guy who met like 5 in person, probably 2 of them were open the door after he dropped the CMA. So, and again, town is like driving all around, like, so it's just even if it's not that close to home, it's like 40 minutes. I recommend you do that, because once you drop the CMA off with a good packet, you knock on the door, they open the door, you might get like a ton of extra in-person appointments. And otherwise, maybe these guys are not like responding on the phone, not responding via text. But if you don't give up, you drop the CMA, they'll be very, like, they'll appreciate that from you, right? They'll really, really like that, because nobody's doing it. And so whatever you, the way we think about this is, okay, like, how many realtors are actually doing this? Nobody. Okay, cool. That's a good way to stand out, because nobody's doing it, right? And so, guys, that was it for this video. If you want to learn more about how we drop the CMAs, I'm gonna release a masterclass in the future. If you want it, like, just drop a comment. And also, if you want to learn how to do this video, go back to the last video. I'm gonna link it here. And if you want to learn about how to create a plan to fall with the guys, just go back to my second video in the channel. You know, a lot to cover. I couldn't cover everything in this video. Probably I could have talked for like 3 hours. So impossible to cover everything. But hope you found this valuable. Make sure you always remember about these 5 points. And I don't think there's anything more that could be added to improve lead quality. At the end of the day, everything revolves around the same exact principles that the winners are using right now to get deals. And so what we try to do, our approach is just, okay, seeing, okay, this guy is like closing so many deals from lead gen. That means that, number one, lead gen works, and number two, we're doing something wrong if we're not closing that many deals. That's what I did for myself since the beginning, to learn what really works in this game. Okay, so I hope you find this valuable. Just try to give you what worked for ourselves. And yeah, if you want the CMA drop video, drop a comment below. If you want to learn more about how we personally help real estate agents on top of these videos, go to the description. There's a link to book a call, and I'll personally walk you through how we do that and what kind of, if we can actually help you out, how we can help you out. Okay, hope you found this valuable, and I'll see you inside our next video.